I remember some of us going up to my mom and saying, whoa, we're fighting too much. We should meditate today, you know? And we as children could feel a difference in the energy in the household. It was really palpable.
We just said, you know what, you have to brush your teeth. You have to go to bed on time. We make you eat your vegetables. Why are we doing such a good job taking care of your body and doing nothing for your mind, you know? And that they understood.
Carolee McLean schrijft kinderboeken die inmiddels wereldwijd gelezen worden. Ze werd op haar 15e student van Tsogyam Trungpa en studeerde aan de door hem opgerichte Naropa Universiteit in Boulder. Daar leerde ze haar eerste man kennen. Na enkele jaren werd haar man ernstig ziek en het huwelijk eindigde in een drama. Carrie hertrouwde en met haar dochters werd ze deel van een gecompliceerde patchworkfamilie. Beide ouders kozen partij voor hun eigen kinderen. Om een dreigende scheiding af te wenden, werd besloten een paar minuten familiemeditatie per dag in te voeren. Dit bracht zo'n grote transformatie teweeg dat het de basis werd voor haar werk. Inmiddels geven zij en haar familie over heel de wereld workshops over het plezier van familiemeditatie.
When we got married, we were just hippies, you know, and we didn't care about flowers, or it was very simple and humble and powerful. And now I have these 3 daughters who are the second generation of Buddhists, and we have really encouraged them to become part of this culture and not to abandon this culture. We have spent a fortune on this wedding. We have 150 people coming. You know, we've set up all these tables with white cloths, which is just so strange to me. This is what my parents' generation did, what I rebelled against, and now my children are doing it in such a beautiful, enlightened way with such heart.
I'm one thing that I'm worried about is the name change thing. I'm not worried, but it's going to be difficult, I think.
To be Tessa Ladendorf?
Yeah.
Hey, at least it has a musical ring to it.
Let's get married today. Let's get married. Gonna get married today.
So the people who hosted me in Boulder in 1974 for the opening of Naropa they were students of Trungpa Rinpoche who opened Naropa University and insisted that I come and meet him. Then we met and I said, "You know me, don't you?" And he said, "That's right, I know you. We're really old friends, really old friends." And then he looked me up and down and started laughing as if he could not believe what had become of me.
Don't you give me your hand. Oh, baby.
You know, and I was so excited. I think it was part of my craziness from my crazy childhood. And I was just finally, after 15 years of pretty extreme suffering, of sexual abuse and just complete insanity, rageaholic father, and I finally felt safe.
I've got to stop fooling around.
I was working at Naropa University, and I got a phone call from this British gentleman who needed help with a visa. He wanted to become a student at Naropa.
I went to register at Naropa University, and it was Kerry who was doing it, so we talked.
And I went around the office, I told everybody, there's a British man coming, and I'm going to marry him and stay away from him because he's mine. I went to the big competition, you know. And he came, and we fell in love. And within 6 months, I got pregnant.
Anyway, so eventually we ended up getting married. I just don't remember all those sort of details.
There was perhaps some emotions, and then we got married.
That's about right.
There was a child at some point.
We have a lot of harmony between us, and we just loved studying the Dharma together, being with Rinpoche together, being in this community together. So we had a lot of good times.
I mean, it was a very good time. It was great. Yeah, we got on very well, and oh, this will help.
Tell us about mine, Dad.
This is how we used to get my father to talk about things, is to give him some booze.
I want to settle down and stop fooling around. I've got to stop fooling around. Stop fooling.
We had a big adventure of moving up to Nova Scotia, and we bought this kind of corner store / hamburger joint, you know, / pool tables. We were in the middle of nowhere.
So I was working way too much. Then I got a flu, and then we went to Scotland for a Christmas vacation with, you know, Kerry and Sophie and Tessa. And within 2 days, my feet almost immediately, my feet started getting numb, and my legs eventually gave out, and they whisked me off to the hospital, and then I was on life support stuff with a tube. I was completely paralyzed.
His condition was deteriorating, and the doctors told me that he would probably die, and they wanted to prepare me.
I mean, they basically said I was going to die. They told my family that. But, you know, I had 2 tiny little kids. One was a year old, actually less than a year old, and 2 years old, and really it wasn't a good time to go. I wasn't ready for that. And Trumpa Rinpoche sent us what we basically thought of as being sort of Tibetan magic medicine stuff. Turns out it was the salts used to embalm the Karmapa. And when the doctors weren't looking, she sort of stuffed it in my mouth, because I couldn't move my mouth at all. And then within a day, my condition started to radically improve, and they pulled out the tube, and then, you know, they said something's happened. We don't know what it is, but things have turned around. And then once they took the tube out and I could talk, that same day, Trumpa Rinpoche called and sort of asked me how I was doing and stuff, and I was completely blown away, of course. That was that was really good. And at that point, my condition again improved, and the doctor said, I don't know who that guy is, but you got to get him a call every day, because it's helping your health so much.
After that, he got better and better, but the paralysis receded and receded, but it stopped here. And then he was stuck with the rest of it.
This is beautiful. I love it.
Are you happy with the... It was a very tragic time, and he really became a bit of a monster through that. He was, you know, pretty freaked out, quite rightly. And, you know, was just constantly, you know, screaming at me that he wanted a divorce, you know.
Everything had totally changed, and it was not... It was almost like being different. I mean, when one person gets paralyzed like that, everyone is traumatized. It affects the whole family, and, you know, obviously close, you know, children, spouses. I mean, it's really tough.
I think he just wanted his freedom again. He just wanted to be alone with his pain. After about a year, I moved out, and that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It's very hard to walk out on a man in a wheelchair, you know, who you're still in love with, you know. But it was a very, very unhealthy situation, and I needed to get my children out of there, and myself, for that matter. I was really having a breakdown.
I remember the outside of the hospital, but not the inside. I remember that everyone would go inside, and if it was sort of maybe too intense of a situation or something, or there were important conversations that I shouldn't hear, then I would play outside, and there was this green hill.
I think that's probably what actually kept me alive, because it was, you know, having these kids there. And I remember Tessa sort of coming up and grabbing my face at one point, and I couldn't move or say anything, but it was very sweet. Yeah. So that was a very good reason to very good reason to stay alive.
You know, can you imagine being this handsome, charming, intelligent, wealthy, really charmed British person? He needed money for a business. His father gave him the money. You know, everything, his whole life just came to him very easily. And suddenly it was all taken away in one moment.
Now it was not so quiet and peaceful at night. Now the lights of the city were bright and very...
McLean?
No, it's M-A-C-L.
M-A-C. The A is missing. I know what was wrong. Okay. So it's here. It's in the Children's Activity Yoga section.
Oh, that's what she was just saying.
Yeah. So we have 5
Where is
copies
that?
right now. So.
Well, that's good. That means that they've been selling. Peaceful Piggy just came out in Japanese, which is exciting. But yeah, it's all across the United States. And Moody Cow was published by Wisdom, so it's being released throughout Europe.
Hi.
Here's Peaceful Piggy Meditation. And Moody Cow Meditates. I'm kind of sad that it's not on their recommended shelf like it usually is. My children really gave me a hard time about my Peaceful Piggy meditation book. They just thought it was way too preachy, and they said, "Give me a bucket, Mom, I'm going to throw up." And I listened to that. That's my wisdom. It's not that I'm a great writer or a great artist, but I do what they tell me to do. They understand children. Yeah. So I finally started writing a completely different series, and in each one I starred my 5 children as the Colorado Sky Piggies and just tried to remember funny things that they've done, and I would ask them for jokes, you know, and so over the years I developed a better sense of humor, and then finally I was able to do spiritual books for children that wouldn't gag my children. So many parents come to me from many different cultures with the same complaint. Could you please write a book for my kid who is not a peaceful piggy? You know, something that they can relate to, and something that deals directly with their anger and their emotionalism and just their raw, kind of almost savage barbarianism that kids can get into sometimes. And so I came up with Moody Cow Meditates. Really, really played up the humor in that one, used humor to help kids laugh at how angry they can get.
Might as well, 'cause take you in my arms and hold you. Take you in my arms.
Receive this warrior gentleman. Yeah. We should all be standing. We should all be standing. I think they should be facing me. In fact, and what I'll do.
Sue you, baby, want to sue you, baby, want to love you, baby, want to love you, baby, want to understand you, baby,
like this with that over it, or something like this. These are all these colors.
Try to understand your loving way.
I never realized what a control freak I was before this.
So they missed the kid.
Oh, thanks.
What?
And so when they first came to Boulder, I was there with a bunch of other people helping them settle in their apartment, and that's when I first met Carrie.
You can make them a little smaller. That might be a little big.
You know, he had 2 small children as well, 2 boys. And I told him about what I was going through. He was so kind, asking, how are you doing? This must be really hard.
She had been taking care of Hamish this whole time in Scotland, and she was just completely stressed out. You know, she had lost like 30 pounds and she was skinny as a rail.
You know, he really was very healing to me, his kindness, and I think I for him, and that was how we fell in love, was just helping each other through such a painful transitions.
Look at that beautiful hair. Oh.
So then we started living together. So I think we had about 6 months of heaven there while Kelly was a baby. Then we all moved in and it was instant hell.
We came from really different upbringings, Tessa and I, and Hector's boys, Andrew and Gregory, and it was definitely not really so compatible, I felt.
Soon we began to realize it didn't matter who was right and who was wrong in terms of the conflicts, but we really had to start dealing with the conflicts themselves.
Yeah, Hector and I really were very had explosive tempers together, and we kind of got to the same place that Hamish and I had got to, of just like these huge fights, you know?
And I didn't like Hector, and Andrew didn't like my mother.
You know, don't have your kids do that to my kid kind of thing, you know?
My mother had to raise 10 kids on her own, so she did it military style, you know, which is the only way, you know, you have to go along with the rules. Otherwise, it's complete chaos.
You know, just normal childhood. Not getting along for whatever reason.
Who gets the remote?
Nothing in particular.
Who gets the remote?
That was a big one. Who gets to control the TV?
I think it got to the point that it was maybe unbearable for all of us. You know, we just weren't happy together.
He would get so emotional and hurt, and I would get so emotional. We were so emotional. So we started sitting, and it just immediately cut the claustrophobia of the situation.
Well, we started when I was 5. We started family meditation. And I liked it sometimes. I also hated it other times. But I also, in hindsight, can really understand why our parents were so strict about it. When we get home from school, you sit for 5 minutes, because I think otherwise we would have gone crazy and they would have gone crazy.
We both were forced to go to church, and we hated it, and we had kind of hypocrite, you know, fathers who were extremely abusive, you know, and then drag you to church or whatever. We didn't want to do that, but at the same time, it was a crisis.
I guess as, you know, kind of time went on, and I maybe got better at it or got used to it, and you know, and wasn't just rejecting it just for the fact of saying no. I think I really started enjoying it.
The one difference in the way that my parents shared this with us is that it wasn't so much, this is our religion and this is what we do and you have to do it. It was more along the lines of, here's a tool to help settle your mind and help relate to your emotions. Because in the West, we don't really give our children a way to relate, to even know what their mind is, to recognize their mind and know that it's actually malleable and they can work with it.
I was pretty young when we started doing that, so of course it was hard for me to sit still, and I would sometimes just daydream.
Joyful.
Joyful. It's a big glob of joy.
Is it the anger one, or? This was the angry one? Yeah, this one is really cool.
I would get really mad. I had a very hot temper as a kid. And at a certain point, I started to realize I could let it go instead of jumping into it. And I actually would say to my mom, like I was really angry or sad about something, I'd be like, I'm going to meditate. And I would just go sit in my room for 5 or 10 minutes. without even being asked to.
We're on the windowsill to drive.
Maybe before I begin the meditation, I also just wanted to again mention that the parents' rights of passage weren't quite so me first, screw you, I'm going to get what I want out of you. You know, and that really is where most of the battles with children come from. And they seemed to like each other a little better. You know, I just really believe that their hearts were opening.
And if I were a cricket, I think I would want to live here. What about you guys?
Me.
Yeah. And you're going to look for the very best spot that you can find, that if you were a cricket, you would want to live there. Does everyone think Renee can do it?
Yeah!
All right, here you go. open your hand.
Just a harmless. Just want to leave you. Love you. Love you. Ouch.
There was something to fight against in that it was boring and we wanted to play. But then there was nothing to fight against with the intention, because it was really coming from love. My mother and Hector were very clear, we're going to be together, you know, whether you like it or not. And this is how we're going to make that work.
How on earth do you really deal with that? I actually honestly don't know. I mean, meditation clearly helps. I mean, it's, you know, you have at least a chance, much better chance, and occasionally you pull it off, of sort of noticing what your mind's doing and sort of coming back to a sort of, to the present moment.
Well, we were supposed to be there 20 minutes ago, so we should probably leave.
But this is like the best party we've ever been to. Nothing will start until we get there. Tessa's dress is a little bit broken. My dress just,
oh no.
You see the zipper just
Oh my God.
So we're going to have to sew me into the dress.
But we've accepted the chaos now, so we're
Too tight. This is what happens at weddings. Everything goes wrong first, and then it's really beautiful and magical. I think.
Sounds right to me. What time are we supposed to be?
Well,
today? I'm gonna head down there. Okay.
Sorry, we're running late, Dad.
Oh, no problem.
We'll meet you.
I mean, people have asked me that a lot. Well, how do you do it? And I really don't have an answer, you know. You just kind of do it. Here you are, you just got to get on with it one way or another. Some days are harder than others, and, you know, I think particularly if you start thinking about how things might have been, that's not very helpful. I mean, that's a good way to get pretty depressed about things.
I feel like I'm on the edge of a cliff and my baby is about to jump off.
The sword representing fearlessness.
We drink this water so that we may promote the way of true household. We vow to perform our duty to each other, to the citizens of Shambhala, the community, and all sentient beings. By drinking this, may we be genuine, loyal, gentle, and fearless. You need to take responsibility for your own happiness. You can't rely on someone else or any exterior thing to make you happy. So, and you have to take responsibility for your own sanity and your own mind. So we're we're committed to practicing, meditating, working with our minds so that when we do get into heated situations, we have that gap, that space where you can step back and say, okay, maybe I don't need to indulge in it.
Do you, Tessa Elizabeth McLaren, Kensei Lamo, receive this Shambhala warrior to be your husband and heart companion on the path of true Dharma? And
too enthusiastic.
do you, Sasha Alexander Ladendorf, receive this Shambhala Wangmo to be your wife and heart companion on the path of true Dharma?
Hi!
Are you not afraid of having this past with all the divorces that you enter in the same trap?
No, I think it's become a very good lesson, and I think I'm very fortunate to have such amazing practitioners as parents because they went through a lot and it was hard, but they've worked through so much. Don't even think about it.
The final chapter of this story is that we love you both so much, and we're deeply, deeply happy for you. So here's to your happily ever after, which we're so confident in. Obviously, I think the fact that I still practice and that I consider myself a Buddhist and that it's not just part of my life, but it is my heart and my whole world in some way, is because of complete faith in my parents and having seen how they brought Buddhism into their lives and how they made life their practice and their path.
My mother is going to come on the microphone and cry.
You two could turn out so well with, such obstacles on the part of us. Then I imagine the grandchildren are going to be, truly great bodhisattvas. And I feel just completely humbled in the face of such beautiful beings. And I guess while I'm up here, I'll just thank you, Sasha, for being childlike and playful and loving my Tessa so much as I do. And she needs a goofy guy like you.
Might as well, cause take you in my arms and hold you, take you in my arms.
Wilt u naar aanleiding van deze uitzending reageren of een gratis programmagids bestellen? Bezoek dan onze website boeddhistischeomroep.nl. DVD's van onze programma's kunt u bestellen op 010 411 3977.